When a lady reaches out to you, you think you have a fantastic opportunity. Once again, the majority of guys make the same errors. When a female gets in touch with them, and this is precisely why they get irritated, bewildered, or maybe losing her once again, in actuality, she doesn't always reach out. As a result of her unexpected affection for you, something lot more profound is taking place. Behind that call or text, if you'd want to avoid getting caught up in the trap of thinking this video will reveal that you are in charge, the precise errors that you're making, and demonstrate to you how to get an advantage in any circumstance, this is the contentious reality. What you said to her reveals more about you than you believe, demonstrating your degree of respect, yourself, your limits, and even how much authority are you prepared to grant. The majority of males are starving for attention. Validation falls into the trap, exactly, seeming feeble and readily accessible so you don't have to go after her. When she really reaches out, if you answer incorrectly, you risk pushing her, gone more quickly than you anticipate, the secret to really earning her respect for you, and perhaps even rekindling interest, is a lie. In your performance when she makes that, avoid making the mistake of leaping as you move. Like most guys at her texts, calls, or direct messages, instead, you must comprehend what's really going on in her head and be intelligent regarding your activities in the parts I'll break out next. Highlighting the most common errors males make while when a lady gets in touch with them, how can you stay away from them to take back control of the circumstance? So prepare yourself, because it's time to stop falling into these traps. To alter the don't sacrifice everything for her in Game 1. When a female gets in touch with you, one of the greatest errors you may make are putting everything on hold to reply or attend her. Let's be clear right away. This provides giving the incorrect impression. It shouts that she is the center of your existence. And that's not handsome. Males with their own purpose, objectives, and daily activities are distant, more appealing when everything is dropped. You're letting her know that you're accessible whenever it's convenient for her, and that makes you seem weak, and no woman desires a guy who is frantically trying to get her attention. Regardless of how much she says she likes you, consider it when you're ready. Accessible, you start to lose value. You aspire to have a busy life, living a full life for someone who isn't waiting for her call all the time. When you begin doing so, she begins. Why aren't you living your own life? Or following your own interests? You want to be seen as someone rather than someone she can drag about whenever she wants. Here's what happens if you change all the time. Your intentions just to support her. She's going to start taking you for granted. You'll no longer feel the mystery and instead offer her the exhilaration she desires. That you value your time and that you're leading a life apart from her. Don't reply to her SMS immediately. Don't make time in your calendar to accommodate. Show her that you're living your life. Let her come to you on your terms. When she's prepared, for instance, picture reaches out to you at 3 p.m. When you're in the midst of something significant, whether either working or hanging out with buddies. Let it wait rather than responding right away. Respond later when it's convenient for you. Arrange for when you will answer at last. Keep it cool and gathered. By doing this, you're demonstrating, showing her that you're not in need and that you take charge of your own life, and she will begin to appreciate you more for it. By preventing the error of dropping anything, that you're not just safeguarding self-esteem, but you're also preserving the equilibrium of power in the connection. When she notices that you're not at her whim and refer to her as attractive, will increase in your direction. And that's when you start to get the upper hand. 2. Give her a break from excessive texting. One of your greatest errors is space. May make when a female gets in touch with you is sending her too many texts all the time might seem to be a means of maintaining the relationship. Alive, however, in practice, it does the contrary to how texting makes you seem needy, clinging, and in need of care. It's an indication that you lack sufficient events occurring in your life, and that you're continuously attempting to fill the void. When you text excessively, you're effectively suppressing her thoughts regarding when something is consistently accessible, it loses value, and the same is true for your focus. If you're constantly answering immediately and continuously inundating her with messages that she won't be able to miss you, as well as when she doesn't, fades the attraction you must provide. Her personal space engenders desire and curious when you don't react right away to her texts, making her question what you're doing what and with whom. You are not seizing the chance to discuss this natural curiosity with her. Encourage her to get in touch with you more when you avoid over-texting. It indicates that you're not frantically trying to get her attention and that you possess a life apart from her. For example, suppose she texts you and you're engaged in an activity. Important, don't respond right away. The notification remains there for a while when you do reply, but keep it brief. No need to go into lengthy text chats, should be short, and leaving her wanting more by failing to. By sending her too many texts, you're allowing her to "I miss you," and you're proving it. You're a guy with ladies of your own, are drawn to males by nature who are autonomous and own their own. Don't allow your text messages take precedence. Become a desperate tactic. Allow them to be a means of maintaining the relationship. Space without suffocating it produces mysterious mystery, draws attention by allowing her to speculate about you. You become more interesting, so allow her in. When she does, she will show you respect. More, and your worth will never pursue her. Add 3. One of the greatest pitfalls you face is affirmation. May occur when a lady gets in touch with you is seeking her approval. Attempting to win her acceptance or continuously attempting to establish your value is among the least appealing activities you may engage in if you know you've been in this predicament. The sensation of constantly questioning if you're continually going above and above to get her affection, doubting oneself and attempting to be the person you believe she wants you to be. The issue with seeking her approval is that it puts you in a situation where you weakness when you're always looking for. You're telling her that her approval, your viewpoint, is more important than your own. In essence, you're putting her own self-worth, and that's not only harmful but also men who are ugly and want approval seem reliant and vulnerable, and women can tell right away that it's critical to recognize your worth. Is not established by whether she confirms your decision to cease pursuing her. You release yourself from that approval. Insecurity that you begin acting upon your own values and aspirations, not on what you believe she would want you to become. A guy who exudes confidence and self-assurance instead of a guy seeking steady comfort when you give up pursuing her. Validation, you get greater appeal, because you don't need her anymore. In order to feel good about oneself, you must your own self-esteem that makes you distinctive. Women are attracted to males that are confident in themselves and are not seeking confirmation from other sources. The instant you quit trying to get her approval, you cease granting her authority, your feelings. It's a freeing sensation. You start concentrating on the things that make you content and joyful. And when you will discover that ladies are not because you're more attractive, because attempting to establish your worth, but because you are already at ease with who you are. Therefore, don't call her the next time. Feel compelled to demonstrate yourself or look for her approval. Remain true to yourself and let her to approach you. You'll soon understand that if you give up on her, she begins seeking validation. You don't say sorry for nothing. Here's the harsh reality: if you're expressing regret just to maintain harmony or to steer clear of conflict, you're doing everything. Nevertheless, a lot of males have the tendency to expressing regret for actions they didn't even air in order to keep things from getting out of hand. It is an error that not only reduces your worth, but also makes you seem feeble and uncomfortable because reality is ever-changing. When you apologize without cause, you come out as if you lack a spine. It seems like you're requesting her acceptance and pardon, even when it's not necessary. When you, "I'm sorry, and I'll move on from you," convey the idea that her emotions are more significant than yours, and that women desire guys. And a pal is a big red signal. Who has the self-assurance to endure their basis that they like to see that you possess, respect yourself, and recognize your value. Therefore, cease expressing regret for things that don't demand that you apologize if you haven't. Don't simply apologize if anything went wrong. Reassure her that you're not a doormat to be traversed throughout, and you shouldn't behave like one here for sure. The issue when you say you're sorry for not, because it lets her know that you're not self-assured enough to maintain it, provides her the authority to manage the circumstance, and it may eventually make you feel weak and reliant, as you may believe it's not harmful, but it's all superfluous. Logic eats away at your, "I understand that guys are built to have self-respect, make everything right by fixing things, but there is a significant distinction between being responsible when you've really made a mistake up and saying you're sorry when you don't need to. The secret is knowing when to take ownership of your acts and when to maintain your ground. Therefore, allow me to cease apologizing merely to tell you this. Continue taking the peace. Accountability only when required. Give up looking for approval in the form of meaningless excuses. Stand your ground, and you will observe the change in how she reacts to your regard as a woman. Men who don't say sorry for just existence, now is the moment to awaken and acknowledge your value. You're not here to apologize all the time. You're here to be a self-assured, strong and respectful guy for don't reveal yourself for 5 hours. Desperation. This is among the most important errors a male may commit when a lady reaches out to him. Desperation is among the most ugly characteristics you may display, and it's difficult to conceal, I promise. It's crucial when a woman reaches out. Should maintain composure and never divulge. How much do you want her to notice you? Because despair conveys vulnerability. It lets her know that you don't have enough self-worth to be picky. About the people you spend time and effort on, it indicates your willingness to take whatever crumbs she tosses at you. Instead of being confident enough to recognize the value of your time and that you deserve someone who also recognizes that. Not only is desperation ugly, but it's a profoundly emotional turn-off when you reply to her texts much too fast. Send her a ton of SMS or seem too eager. To get together, you're basically elevating oneself and pleading for her approval, which isn't what women. They don't want a guy who pursues them persistently, who is constantly accessible to them, and who is willing to sacrifice all for. They are looking for a guy with his own life, his own objectives, and isn't always seeking their blessing. Here's the, when you seem desperate, reality. She believes that you're always someone who doesn't have to be there. Maintain limits, which is a certain way to, she will no longer respect you, women's desires. To believe that they must earn your attention, love and care if you're too accessible, she will begin to see you as, she'll be simple to forecast and fast to lose interest. Hence, you should do the following. Do not reply right away to every, don't make her the focus of the message. Your reality, and refrain from acting as if she's the only females in your life are drawn to males who are self-sufficient, not because they're indifferent, but because they respect themselves enough to not chase. You must allow her to view that as confirmation. As a guy with choices, you're a man who's, if you're not scared to leave anything, don't. When you cease displaying desperation, align. You'll notice a change in her reaction. Start to see you as someone she must labor to maintain, and at that point, the actual women are drawn to males when attraction occurs. To support self-reliance and a guy who is aware of his worth it, therefore stop pursuing and stop disclosing your despair and allow her to, U6, cease to exist. 247. If a lady gets in touch with you, one of the making oneself is one of the worst things you can do. Accessible. I understand that you're enthusiastic all the time. Enthusiastic but always present. When she needs you, you demonstrate that you lack a life apart from her. And here's the thing, that's a huge turn-off. Women are drawn to males by nature who own their own life with objectives, passions, other endeavors to which they are dedicated. When you become too accessible, lets her know you don't have any limits, no other priorities, and that she is all of your attention, which is very error. Consider it when someone is aware that they may capture your interest. They may cease appreciating it any time they choose. If you constantly put things on hold to speak with any time she invites you to spend out with her. Be dependable, and being predictable is dull, aren't you? Giving her a feeling of mystery or enthusiasm, but instead you're just verifying your unwavering presence. Regardless, let's be honest, a lady wants to believe that she must work she wants your attention, just a little bit. To believe that your time is valued, such as you're dealing with other issues in your. When you are constantly accessible, life is signs that you don't think highly of yourself. Period of time while you're waiting for. When you call or contact her, you give off a feeling of desperation. Rather, concentrate on creating your own life, following your own interests and keeping up your. The more independence you achieve, as you become more appealing. You won't just be another reliable man for her. For her, give up all. You'll be. She must try to find someone to. For instance, reach rather than always. Responding to texts right away or rearranging. When will you be able to meet her? Try concentrating on your own task, interests or social events when you don't simply reply. Be thoughtful. Respond as soon as possible since you're enthusiastic. Tell her that in order to maintain her interest. You're going about your day and you're refusing to wait by your phone, for balance is the key here for her to reach out. When it counts, be present, but don't let she believes you're not involved in anything else. This will not only increase your appealing, but it will also construct honor and retain her. 7. Interested. Don't answer instantly each and every time a lady contacts you and responds right away. It's a big error you may make every time. Believe that letting her know you're free will immediately impress her, but it accomplishes the exact opposite, and here's why quick responses might make you seem desperate and impatient, rather than generating interest or enthusiasm. Establishes a belief that you'll be accessible at all times, which is something you want to stay away from. The secret of making a solid bond and retaining her. There's a little mystery involved when you always respond right away and take it away. Feeling of people love the pursuit and the suspense. If she is aware that you will respond in a few seconds, she will no longer appreciate your messages and your time. It can even turn into a habit. Something seems very foreseeable, and we all recognize the speed at which predictability dull. In actuality, when you react to right away, you place yourself in a position of vulnerability. She will perceive that you wait for her attention all the time, and they aren't handsome guys who react too rapidly, giving the impression that they don't have anything else happening in their lives. They don't have a purpose in, or instead concentrate. They're only waiting for her to get in touch, which isn't the kind of energy that attracts sparks. Instead, take your time and provide a considered response. Yet, avoid prioritizing getting back to her right away. You don't have to be always staring at your phone or considering her. Concentrate on your task, hobbies or private life, and let her. It makes her wonder what you're up to. More interested, more curious, and ultimately more committed to obtaining your focus. Picture yourself working on your phone buzzes and you have an important assignment. With a note from her, rather than quitting what you're doing right away, take a few minutes to complete. What you're thinking about when you respond, you will seem to be someone who appreciates their time and does not have a dire need for focus. It also provides you with a chance to give your remark considerable thought. Rather than jumping right into a response, simply to seem to have some room between responses may be really effective, and she will respect. You're better for not leaping at every phrase you say when you demonstrate your own life and are able to keep when she is fully independent, begin to value the time you spend. Don't hesitate to make her hold off on thinking too much about her plans when a lady gets in touch with you. The overanalyzing is the last thing you should do. It's normal to desire to understand her motives, examine each and every aspect about her, timing or message tone. However, this is a trap that causes needless tension and perplexity. Overanalyzing leads to uncertainty and ambiguity, neither of which you desire. In your life, let's first discuss the fundamental problem. When you overthink, you put yourself in a situation where unease. You begin to wonder whether she's playing or not, she likes you, games, or whether she's only contacting due of her boredom. This kind of mental spiral only results in frustration. It's important to put the book down. So much between the lines when she contacts you, believe her statements to be true. Worth attempting to make sense of everything and create presumptions on her true intentions will just wear you out and make your judge. Keep in mind that not everything has a people with concealed agendas are complicated, but sometimes the most straightforward answer is. The most accurate one is also overanalyzing results in behaviors that seem out of character, for you may begin to question how you should respond with the delay time, or even if you ought to say anything at all. This inner monologue only keeps you returning from being certain and explicit in your dialogue. When you're at ease and calm, you'll react in a genuine way. Not out of fear or uncertainty is another issue with. The problem with overthinking is that it makes you put her fears onto her behavior, rather than clearly considering what's truly taking place. As you may think, she is guiding you as you play with your feelings or purposeful distance. This kind of thinking creates needless stress and trust, both of which work against. It's time to establish a solid relationship. To take a deep breath, acknowledge that you cannot manage every facet of her conduct. If she gets in touch with you and you reply with confidence and keep things going, moving ahead without giving her too much thought in any. Move with confidence that no matter what happens to you, will manage it easily by remaining. You establish a feeling of calm and stability, of self-assurance, and that's what enhances your beauty. So the next time she extends her hand, don't dive right in, overanalyzing, following your gut, and keep things easy, and you'll feel much better, and you'll really appreciate the procedure. 9 more. Don't let her take over of one of the most significant errors in communication. When a woman approaches a guy, he makes allowing her to take charge of the dialogue. You must understand anything important if you continuously let you're giving up the flow because she dictates it. Your authority, the instant you let her assume leadership roles and cease being the guy who sets the tone rather than becoming reactionary, which isn't appealing to you. Observe partnerships, whether romantic or are not, based on respect for one another and cooperation. Of such regard is the comprehension, because each side need to feel heard and appreciated. If you allow her to lead every dialogue in which you're letting her make the decision, the course of your conversation, and it gives you a poor appearance. It's time to awaken and acknowledge that communication is reciprocal. She ought to be interested in and involved with your ideas. Don't be as much in hers as you are. Make the mistake of just reacting too. She leads a lot of guys into this habit since they're afraid of losing her, or not expressing this worry in the appropriate way forces people to obey her instructions instead of remain steadfast in their own words. And this is where respect is lost if you're waiting for her to take the initiative subjects or take over the discussion. She will begin to see you as being inactive, someone she can shape into what she wants preferences. The thing with women is drawn to guys who are capable of talk to guys with confidence, who aren't hesitant to voice their own opinions, take control of a discussion, and share their viewpoints without hesitancy. Demonstrates strength, maturity, and independence. If you're playing the part of the follower at all times, you're not being authentic with her. You're portraying a scared person to her, hesitant to assume leadership roles and fearful to retaliate when the discussion isn't. This is moving in the correct way, where you must take charge and demonstrate some. Fundamentally, it's not about being impolite or domineering, but maintaining equilibrium dynamic. When you assume responsibility for the dialogue, you exhibit leadership, self-assurance, and self-respect, all attributes that women find very appealing enough for guys to quit. Allowing her regulate the start having more engaging conversations aggressively, and don't hesitate to take the lead in conversation. I promise you'll begin to see more regard and enthusiasm from her. 10 stops serving as her fallback. One of the most significant errors made by males make when a female gets in touch with them is, like their fallback choice. What I mean is that you're present, always standing in the wings, prepared to answer her calls and messages, but never receiving the recognition you are due. My buddy, you must wake up and quit. Becoming someone's backup plan. If you keep to serve as her fallback, she will see you as an alternative, not a priority. And allow me to share with you, no one respects women in particular, someone they are able to ignore. Here's the truth about women: intelligent and skilled at putting guys to the test. Be aware of your availability at the drop. With a hat, they see you constantly answering, saying yes to plans right away, always making time for them, and guess what they begin to do to you? Given if you wait all the time for her to decide or make up her mind, you lose worth when she wants you. She will no longer see you as someone she ought to give priority to, and she will begin to see you as someone she can contact up, because there is nothing better to do. What do you need to quit doing? Behaving as though you're constantly available to her. Give her time to stop and miss you. Placing oneself in a scenario where you are a priority, the fallback, and she need to realize that this doesn't imply playing tricks on her or neglecting her without, because it entails setting limits and living apart from her while you show that you're accessible at all times by sending. You sent the incorrect message, that she is able to assume that no matter what, you'll always be there. Because that's a certain way to lose her. Instead, show her that you have respect. Live your own life and follow your own interests. Keep yourself occupied with your own objectives. You don't have to ask her to get her attention or pretend that you're accessible at her discretion, which results in the complete opposite impact. You turn into someone she can't always start with, someone to value more because she understands your worth when you're not there all the time. Women are attracted to males with their own life and who don't always awaiting their expression of interest. The more you behave like a fallback, stop, because the more she pulls away. Placing oneself in that situation, command of your own life limits, and don't ever let yourself be given the second-class treatment you deserve. More, and she will begin to understand that, when you quit pretending to be a fallback, this is the harsh reality. If you're always being accessible to a female that isn't providing you with the same, you're not getting any respect or attention. You're pushing her away by pushing her over. Don't deceive yourself into believing that she will be at her beck and call. Thank you more. It won't be in truth that it will only cause her to lose respect when you cease behaving like her, for you back up and begin putting yourself first. At that point, you'll see her return, and you'll realize then how much she values you. More, but let's face it, there are still a lot of males fall into this trap for the reason that they are afraid of losing her and of not being required. But the worst part is that when you give up worrying about losing her and concentrate on, you'll convince her of your value. What she is really lacking, thus, this is the challenge. Leave a comment below with your experiences. Have you ever been the backup choice and the steps involved in acknowledge your own? I'm here to assist you in leveling up. Tell me what you think, and I'll get in touch. Individually, to establish a connection, let's create a robust community of knowledgeable guys their value and quit becoming secondary. Fiddle, it's time to give you what you deserve. Possess that